Year 490, King Darius of the Persian Empire invaded Greece. Many templates and 1,000 statues were destroyed. And for many centuries to come, every child in Greece became thirsty for Persian blood. In 356 BC, the town of Macedonia, a son was born. Not an ordinary son, but the son of God, Alexander. In 334 BC, Alexander made this small tree his kingdom, avenged his country, and destroyed the entire Persian Empire. Now the world map looks something like this. Alexander, the 26th seed, is on the border of India, and his next target is India. Bharat Mata wealth. But suddenly he turns his face and returns to his country, Macedonia. All these aspects are closely related. To make the greatest warrior in history, Alexander, the King of Kings, the Emperor, a god, he was born in the first city of Macedonia, and from birth, all the people of the city considered him the child of the Greek god. His mother, Olympia, also supported this. Like all fathers in the world, his father, Philip, also wanted to make his son a capable king, for which he trained Alexander through all the available schools in Greece at that time. Among these schools, the name of the world's most famous philosopher, Aristotle, is included, who instilled such patience, open-mindedness, and diplomatic understanding in Alexander within just 3 years of training that it further enhanced Alexander's political qualities. The first glimpse of this was seen by the people of Macedonia when, at the age of only 10, Alexander easily trained a fierce horse named Bucephalus. At the age of 18, he participated in the Battle of Chaeronea alongside his father, winning half of the army's support, and this was a major turning point in Alexander's journey, where he displayed his greatness. Consequently, people's faith in him grew, as did Alexander's arrogance and hatred towards the Persian Empire, which every child and his father had dreamed of erasing from the world map. To achieve this, he began establishing his dominance over remaining cities, and during this time, he began to include the armies of many cities, merging them with the Indian army on his side, so that in case of need, he could rely on the loyalty of these people. Thus, he started marching towards the southern part. During this period, he encountered the first army, which had twice the number of soldiers as Alexander's, yet he killed them solely with his war strategy and courage. It is obvious that this was a great achievement, which is why Alexander's tales of bravery and the immortality of his army are still read in historical records today. And as you know, humans tend to repeat the mistakes of Hill. In this battle, Alexander saw a small glimpse of the power of the Indian army, after which he used his military skills and cunning to win this battle. Despite his smaller army, he defeated the much larger Persian army with better war strategy and intelligence. After this victory, Alexander took control of many parts of Asia Minor, and even those he couldn't reach surrendered to him. Despite taking control of a part of Persia, he never destroyed the culture there, but allowed all Persian commanders, leaders, and governors to live according to their wishes. This was the result of Aristotle's teaching of winning hearts without force. Alexander had won many hearts, and it was due to his diplomacy and cunning that even after fighting a war, he made a place in people's hearts. He gave control of all the southern parts of the Persian Empire to Macedonia. But as they say, a lion's thirst cannot be quenched by water, and Alexander's purpose was to destroy the Persian army. To fulfill this purpose, he moved towards the most important part of the Persian army with his army, where he faced the largest Persian army ever. And I say this because, even after expanding his empire so much, the Persian army was much larger than Alexander's. Alexander's army had only 2,700 soldiers, while the Persian army had over 100,000. But King Darius was well aware of Alexander's cunning, and that's why he advised his army to fight bravely despite having a larger army. However, despite all efforts, Darius could not save his army from Alexander. When the battle between these two armies began, Alexander used strategy to make the Persian army attack first so that his soldiers would retreat. As the Persian army advanced towards the middle of the battlefield in the hope of victory, Alexander sent his troops behind them, causing chaos. Terrified, Darius fled, and his own commander killed him. This event is recorded in history as a turning point in Alexander's fortune. After this battle, the world's largest empire was destroyed, and at the age of just 25, Alexander became the master of Asia. Not only this, but his empire also reached as far as Afghanistan. However, the question now arises, was the use of 2009 relevant because the position of governor and the honesty of the common people won their loyalty, and Alexander did not impose anything forcefully. Instead, he celebrated their festivals. He did not remove any governor or officer from their position, and even married Darius's daughter, which brought him loyalty and acceptance. But Alexander was a cunning person, and he knew that until the people's welfare was ensured, they would not consider him their king. Taking advantage of this, he distributed wealth to different parts of his empire, which not only increased prosperity, but also trade. However, success brings its own dangers, and Alexander's own army and commanders conspired against him. Despite being aware of the conspiracy, he had the traitor killed. The intoxication of power and success did not stop him, and he now set his sights on the eastern borders, the Indian subcontinent. Alexander's army crossed the Khyber Pass and reached the Indian subcontinent, where they encountered King Porus of Paurava, today's Pakistan. King Porus was determined not to let Alexander establish his kingdom on Indian soil, leading to a fierce battle. This battle was the longest, most difficult, and dangerous for Alexander's army because, unlike other kingdoms, King Porus did not surrender despite months of fighting. Although Alexander's army did not achieve victory even after much effort, his military tactics and bravery impressed Porus. Consequently, Alexander not only allowed Porus to rule the Indian subcontinent, but also granted him more territory as a gesture of respect. Interestingly, the king who could not be defeated by anyone in the world died at the age of 32. Even after his death, his body did not decompose for 6 days. In June 323 BC, Alexander reached Babylon, where he died after 10 days of fever. His body was preserved, and it did not decompose for 6 days. Modern research suggests that Alexander might have had a stroke that caused paralysis, leading to reduced oxygen demand in his body, dilated pupils, and almost no breathing. Since ancient physicians checked for pulse rather than breathing, they might have declared Alexander dead prematurely. This means that if Alexander had lived a few more years, his empire might have spread even further across the world. Although Alexander could not rule the entire world due to his early death, his influence is undeniable. The Greek culture can be seen in every part of ancient times. Even after his death, his empire lasted for the next 2 years, known as the Hellenistic period. This influence reached India and led to Central Asia and Russia having diplomatic relations. Moreover, at least 500 cities were established in his name, where millions of people live today. His military tactics are still taught in many military academies. According to historians, Alexander is one of the most mentioned figures in hundreds of languages and cultures, including Persian, Sanskrit, Roman, and others. The phrase, Jo Jita Wohi Sikandar, he who wins is Alexander, also refers to Alexander the Great. Before going to school, if you liked the video, please like and subscribe to increase your knowledge and turn on the notification for such interesting videos.